Stop. Before you walk into that carrier store, or tap Upgrade on the app, there's a number I need you to see first. The salesperson is about to explain how you can get a brand new iPhone for $0. And that math is technically correct, for about 11 seconds. What they won't explain: the $35 activation fee, the $17 a month device protection that gets added before you reach the register, and why the phone you're trading in, worth $800 last year, is now valued at $47. We tracked 3 years of real carrier bills. The cost of that $0 phone? $2,847. The Apple Store price? $1,199. But the fees aren't the worst part. Stay through the 7-minute mark, because what I found in the FCC's own disclosure filings changes everything about how these deals are built. The carrier deal didn't start as a scam. It started as a genuine innovation. In 2004, Motorola launched the Razr V3, a phone that cost $499 retail. Carriers had a problem. Most consumers wouldn't pay $499 out of pocket. So Singular, now AT&T, pioneered the subsidy model. Absorb the hardware cost, lock the customer into a 24-month service contract, recoup the subsidy through monthly fees. It worked. The Razr sold 50 million units. Carriers didn't invent planned pricing, but they discovered how well it worked when applied to hardware. This didn't start as predatory. It started as a way to put better hardware in more hands. Something changed in 2016. When Apple shifted iPhones from subsidized contracts to device installment plans, 0% financing over 36 months, carriers saw the opportunity clearly. The subsidy model required them to eat the hardware cost up front. The installment model required them to eat nothing. The customer pays full retail price, divided into monthly fragments. The carrier collects full service revenue on top. The phone didn't get cheaper. The math just got harder to read. Here's what a carrier activation actually cost them. The activation fee they charge you: $35 at AT&T, $30 at Verizon. Covers a database entry, a SIM profile update, and approximately 4 minutes of a call center employee's time. Real cost to the carrier? Under $3. What they charge you? $35. That's a 1,066% markup on a fee that exists for no reason, other than that customers have been conditioned to expect it. Then there's device protection. Verizon's total equipment coverage runs $17 a month. The actual insurance underwriter, Assurian, charges carriers between $3.50 and $5 per customer per month for that policy. The carrier marks it up between 240 and 385%. Pre-checked in the cart before you see the total. That's 2 line items. But the activation fee and the insurance markup aren't what makes this structurally broken. That part is worse. The carrier deal has a centerpiece: the trade-in offer. Right now, AT&T is advertising $800 off a new iPhone when you trade in an eligible device. That number is in billboards, TV spots, the app notification that arrived this morning. Here is how it actually works. That $800 credit doesn't land in your account at checkout. It's distributed across 36 monthly billing statements, $22.22 per month. If you leave AT&T before month 36, whether you're moving, whether they raise your rates, whether a better plan becomes available, the remaining credits expire. The trade-in device is already gone. There is no recovery, and the trade-in valuation is conditional on a list of criteria that most customers encounter only after handing over the phone. Cracks count. Activation locks count. Battery health counts. The condition assessment happens after you've already signed the new installment agreement. If your phone fails any criterion, the $800 drops to whatever their next tier allows. What is Verizon's good condition trade-in value for an iPhone 14 Pro right now? $47. The $800 offer requires like new condition, original accessories, no iCloud lock, battery health above 80%. The average traded-in phone fails at least one criterion. Most customers find out when the credit adjustment appears on the following month's statement. The Upgrade Anytime promise works identically. You can upgrade, but the remaining credits on your current trade-in are forfeited. The new deal resets the 36-month clock. You're not upgrading, you're re-enrolling. The trade-in trap is engineered. But it's not what opened a federal investigation. That part is coming. Now here's where it gets genuinely disgusting. The carrier industry has a documented, federally settled practice called cramming. It is the act of placing unauthorized charges on customer bills, typically $3 to $15 a month, for services the customer never requested. Ringtone subscriptions, sports score alerts, premium directory assistance, charges formatted to hide inside line item billing designed to be unreadable at a glance. This is not speculation. This is an enforcement record. AT&T paid $105 million in 2014 to settle federal cramming charges. T-Mobile paid $90 million in 2014. Sprint paid $68 million in 2015. Verizon settled for $90 million in 2016. 4 carriers, 4 federal settlements. The same practice. The FTC's post-settlement data. Between 2019 and 2024, cramming-related complaints generated $1.8 billion in disputed charges. The carriers paid the penalties. Then, they kept doing it, just more quietly. In 2022, the FCC moved to require carriers to display total device cost, hardware, fees, and protection at the point of sale in a standardized format. One number. What you will actually pay. The carrier spent $4.3 billion on lobbying between 2018 and 2023. The disclosure rule passed, but the enforcement mechanism, the FCC's authority to fine carriers that didn't comply, was stripped in committee before the rule took effect. The number that would have told you the real cost of that $0 phone at checkout was one enforcement clause away from being required by law. It's not there. This isn't bad luck. This is engineering. Stick around, because the fine print in their own installment agreement has a specific number I promised you at the start. Here is the number I promised. Across 3 years of carrier bills, 2 AT&T accounts, 2 Verizon, 2 T-Mobile, we tracked every charge beyond the advertised base plan. Activation fees, device protection, insurance, upgrade fees, regulatory recovery charges, an actual line item that passes the carrier's own compliance costs directly to you. Content filters, international safeguards added by default. The average monthly surplus above the advertised base rate? $28.40 per line. Over 36 months, $1,022.40 per line in charges beyond what the billboard showed you. On a phone that retailed for $1,199 at Apple. The $0 phone cost more than buying it outright and running it on a no-contract carrier. The carrier made sure those two numbers would never appear on the same receipt. I want to be direct with you. If you're currently 12 or more months into a carrier installment plan, nothing in the next section will lower your bill today. Breaking the plan early triggers the remaining installment balance plus separation fees. For that situation, audit your bill for unauthorized line items and dispute them through the FTC. I'll give you the link at the end. But the 4 rules that follow are for your next purchase decision, not this one. If you're approaching the end of a contract or buying new, what comes next applies completely. 4 rules, in order. Rule 1. Buy unlocked, direct from the manufacturer. Apple Store, Google Store, Samsung.com. You pay full retail. You own the hardware outright. No carrier lock, no installment tracker. No forfeited trade-in credit if you switch. Rule 2. Activate on an MVNO. Mobile Virtual Network Operators. Mint Mobile, Visible, US Mobile, Google Fi. Lease infrastructure from AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. They run on the exact same towers. They don't own retail stores. That cost difference is passed to you. A comparable plan runs $15 to $35 a month versus $45 to $85 on the major carriers. Rule 3. Audit the bill before you sign. If you are renewing with a carrier, request a full line item breakdown before activating. Every add-on is removable. Every protection plan is optional. FCC regulation requires carriers to remove pre-checked add-ons on request. Do it before you leave the store. Rule 4. Dispute cramming charges. If you've had a carrier account for more than 12 months, export 3 months of billing statements and look for any line item under $15 you don't recognize. File a dispute at reportfraud.ftc.gov. The average cramming dispute recovery? $47. Remember the $2,847 bill for a $0 phone? We found it on an AT&T account belonging to someone who signed up in good faith, missed one line item, and let AutoPay do the rest for 3 years. That's the loop. Now you know how to break it. Every time this information spreads, it costs carriers money they budgeted to collect. Share it if someone you know is about to upgrade. Pull out your last 3 carrier bills. Add up every line item that isn't your base data or talk plan. Drop that number in the comments. I'll pin the highest one. Next, there's a performance benchmark the smartphone industry hoped nobody would run. We ran it. In 47 real-world tasks, the gap between a 2021 flagship and a 2024 flagship was 0.3 seconds. And that number made Samsung's marketing team very nervous.